something that I'm not even trying to diminish this day at all. But the reaction by politicians to this day is very much striking me as whatever. What is definitely not whatever is the memory and the life of George Floyd. It has been 1 year since George Floyd was murdered by Derek Chauvin. And in spite of the fact that Derek Chauvin is sitting in jail right now, the other officers are also awaiting charges. Well, pardon me, they have been charged. They're awaiting trials. And a lot of people would point to that and say, well, George Floyd's family got justice. And while I think that is a true statement, I think it is very much an outlier. There are not many families out here of Black and brown, hell, even white people who get killed by the police, brutalized by the police, and get a settlement and charges and convictions against the offending officers. That's rare. That's not typical. That's not how justice normally meets itself out in this country. And the tone of the politicians, Republican and Democrat, really, I mean, everybody's kind of deplorable on this. But after Derek Chauvin's guilty verdict was announced, I'm gonna play this clip for y'all just to make y'all mad, because the shit made me mad. And when I remember this anniversary, I'm like, yep, that chick said that goofy ass shit, and that made me infuriated. But the day that the Derek Chauvin verdict was announced, the Speaker of the House, one of the most powerful Democrats, I guess she's number 3, right? Biden's the most powerful Democrat. Kamala's the second most powerful Democrat. And Nancy Pelosi's the third most powerful Democrat in Washington. And in all of her wisdom, firmly sarcastic there, this is the best that Nancy Pelosi could come up with once the guilty verdict for Derek Chauvin was read. Let's take a listen.
And thank God the jury validated what we saw. So again, thank you, George Floyd, for sacrificing your life for justice, for being there to call out to your mom. How heartbreaking was that? Call out for your mom. I can't breathe. But because of you, and because of thousands, millions of people around the world who came out for justice, your name will always be synonymous with justice.
Thank you, George Floyd. It sounded like she was thanking Santa Claus, thanking the Easter Bunny. Joe Biden did that goofy shit too. And we'd like to thank George Floyd for sacrificing his life. George Floyd didn't sign up for that shit. George Floyd didn't sign up to be murdered on the street by some racist Klansman wearing a badge who decided to put his knee on his neck. And in response to the most, I can't say even the most horrific killing. It might be one of the most horrific that was captured on video. Absolutely not the most horrific killing that American police have managed to accomplish. No, but absolutely probably one of the worst ones that have been broadcast, I suppose, in the modern day, right? The George Floyd Justice and Policing Act passed the House. It is stalled in the Senate. And one of the sticking points in the Senate has to do with the issue of qualified immunity, right? The ability to be able to sue police officers as individuals for shit that they do wrong. Not lawsuits being paid out by taxpayers or by cities or by states. No. The ability to pursue officers' personal assets needs to be on the table, because I guarantee you, if you could take Officer Friendly's house and his pension, I bet you Officer Friendly would be out there on the streets on his P's and fucking Q's, adhering to the Constitution 100%. Okay? But because it ain't his money that gets paid out to the families of victims, Officer Unfriendly is going to keep fucking people up because he's got carte blanche to do so, courtesy of qualified immunity. And I believe that it's Democrats and Republicans in the Senate who are hemming and hawing on whether or not qualified immunity is going to be in there. And basically, if you're not going to include qualified immunity, then what do you have? You have a watered down piece of shit bill that you could wipe your ass with at the end of the day. Because all of this ban on chokeholds and no knock warrants, I guess, but a ban on chokehold, that wasn't going to save George Floyd's life. Actually, you know what would have saved George Floyd's life, gang? And y'all already know this. Y'all already know this. Had Senator, then Attorney General Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota, had she prosecuted Derek Chauvin for his previous acts of police brutality and police violence, you know, I bet you George Floyd would still be here 1 year later, right? If Derek Chauvin had to face some sort of accountability and consequences for his bad conduct, because let the good folks in Minneapolis tell you, Derek Chauvin was a whole menace out here in a badge on the streets. Okay. And you could tell by that shit-eating grin he had on his face when he had his knee on George Floyd's neck for over 9 minutes. That's not a stretch, right? Like, he looks like a cop looking to fuck people up out in the streets, does he not? It had Democratic leadership. And again, I can put this at Amy Klobuchar's feet because she was in charge. But we all know that really D or R would have let Chauvin walk away unpunished, just like Amy Klobuchar did. But, you know, keeping rogue cops, and I can't even call them rogue, let me rephrase, keeping the normal bad apples, because it ain't a few bad apples. All of them bitches is bad. All of them is bad. By keeping them around and allowing them to terrorize communities like Derek Chauvin clearly did, we're asking for more people like George Floyd to be killed, regardless of how well-intentioned. And I can't even say that Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden are well-intentioned. I don't believe their intentions are well. Everything that they have proposed in order to reform police involves giving the police way more money in the form of more training, more resources, better equipment, body cameras. I mean, the fact that security bill just passed the House. We talked about this Tuesday, and I can't remember who it was in the comments. I appreciate the person saying this, and I'll remember who it was in a second. But basically, remember I was asking y'all, I said, you know, was it cowardly for Jamal Bowman, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and Rashida Tlaib to just vote present on the U.S. security, the U.S. Capitol security bill that barely passed the House, and those three Democrats just voted present? Yes, they could have defeated the bill had they voted no. And it's a sad indictment of our politics, where allegedly three of the most radical, can we call them radical? No. Okay, we'll stick with progressive. Progressive's a little safer than radical, right? As far as they're concerned. But three of the most progressive Democrats, right, who ran as progressives, who ran themselves as reformers, didn't even have the courage to vote down this police bill. That particular, right? There's so many policing bills on the Hill. It's hard to keep track. They did not have the courage to vote down the U.S. Capitol security bill. But the justice in policing, the George Floyd justice in policing, that is not the move, guys. That is absolutely not the move. And the problem is that once it passes, if it passes, right, Democrats are going to dust their hands off and they're going to pat themselves on the back. See, did we do a good job? Look at us reforming police. Meanwhile, be assured that if the bill passes the Senate, it happens to land on the desk of Joe Biden. I hate to say it, but because I'm an American and this is my country, I know my country very well. The day that bill, if it passes the Senate, hits Joe Biden's desk, police go kill somebody unjustifiably and cover it up. Let me say his name, Adam Toledo. Adam Toledo's name just popped in my head just now. Police in this country kill children and cover it up. Police in this country shoot people in the head, Andrew Brown Jr., and cover it up. I know we have some viewers from around the world, please help. Send help. Please send help to please get us out of here. Please, please, please. Ghana, where you at? We got any viewers in Accra? Please come get us. we want out. We want out very badly. So I'm curious, guys. I mean, as it's been a year, and as we look back basically on the past year, where it was Mr. Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, were the three big cases that really jumped out from 2020, even though I know there were more. Lisa Snowden actually sent me a very good piece. Should I even quote it? Because I don't know if I can get to it in time. But basically, it was written in the New Republic, and I can't remember the journalist who wrote it. But what we saw last year, guys, and I'm echoing the sentiments of this piece. This is not my original thought, but I'm going to expound upon it. But what we saw last year, y'all, was Black liberation activists in many cities and states across the country go head to head with the nouveau Black political class, right? In cities like DC and Philly and Houston and Atlanta, people were out in the streets big time being met by Black cops tear gassing them at the orders of Black police chiefs and Black mayors. And 2020, if nothing else, crystallized how just representation, like having Black faces in these leadership places or in these very lofted political seats, is bullshit, y'all. Like, ask me, do I give a fuck about whether or not the police chief or the mayor is Black if they're tear gassing me and other people like me because their police department murdered someone who looked just like me, who was not doing anything that warranted being killed, either by being shot, chokehold, knee to the neck, anything. And I think that as Black and brown people and our white allies, y'all need to be paying attention to, okay? Because y'all just can't be out here cheering for Lori Lightfoot just because she's a Black lesbian, okay? Yes, cool, but her track record, it is boo-boo. And I could give a fuck if she was a Black woman, lesbian, I can give a shit. Did she tell her police department to tear gas people? She absolutely sure the fuck did. Did Lori Lightfoot redirect hundreds of millions of dollars meant in federal COVID stimulus directly to Chicago police? Yes, the fuck she did. So I hope at a point very soon in the future, like today, us collectively as Black and brown communities are instantly overrepresentation. And it's not to say that we don't need Black people in those positions. We need the right Black people in those positions, okay? If you're going to be a mayor, I need you to be a mayor on the side of justice and on the side of, fuck it, the Constitution. We'll play along. Let's play along like the Constitution actually applies to all of us, okay? We know it don't. Y'all know it don't. I know it don't. Let's play along, though. If we had a mayor in any given city that had a commitment to making sure and holding its police department accountable to the community, that's the kind of people that we need to be running. And I'm telling you, unfortunately, those are not the kind of people that the National Democratic Party is going to support. And just like glorious individuals like you all have been supporting this channel and other media channels, I see, I recognize the Black Power media folks and the clickbaity folks. Yes. You guys support us because, we're giving it to you the way that other places are not going to, that other places intentionally don't do, right? So the same way that y'all support us, we collectively have to support the right candidates. And we have to understand that our candidates, whoever we understand to be on the correct side of issues pertaining to life, living wages, access to free housing or affordable housing, healthcare, childcare, education. Like, people who support these things have to be protected from both the left and the right, right? Not only are conservatives coming for them, but establishment Democrats are coming for them also. So we got to be there. I'm going to say that. What you say here, Rain Desud? Rain Desud says, Lori Lightfoot told Rahm's line. Girl, I'm just going to say it. She cannot be trusted as far as we can spit. Yes, honey, exactly. I mean, what the fuck? I don't need Rahm Emanuel, AKA Lori Lightfoot. You feel me? Like, if Lori Lightfoot is going to act like Rahm Emanuel, Lori Lightfoot could have stayed her ass at home. Like, bitch, we didn't ask for this. And I don't mean to disrespect the system by calling her a bitch. I call everybody a bitch. I call Joe Biden a bitch to his motherfucking face. Like, I'm just kidding. No, I might call Joe Biden. I don't know if I call Joe Biden a bitch. Let me tell you something. This show is proof positive. I would never be in proximity of Joe Biden ever in my life, probably, which is fine with me.